My name is David Farrell, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. Really, it wasn't necessarily directly for me, but it was more for my wife. She had been struggling with depression and anxiety for as long as I can remember. I mean, even before I met her. And she had been on doctor medication for months and years, and it was really causing some stressful times in our lives. And just being new married after 5-6 years, it was kind of tough. And so she decided to look into some stuff, found some CBD oil online, and started taking it. And she saw amazing results with it. And then I kind of knew with some of my back history with some medical issues, I knew it might work for me, so I started taking it. It's helped her to just kind of relax and just not worry about the small stuff. She can just operate a little bit easier. It helps us in our conversations because we kind of understand what each other's been through. She's been through a lot of anxiety and depression. I had brain surgery back in 2010, so I dealt with migraine headaches from the age of 3 all the way to 26. And not just any old migraine headache, but every 4 days I'd have a major one for 2 weeks at a time. And so finally I had surgery for that, and dealt with all kinds of nerve issues and spine issues and things like that, and just a lot of neck pain. And so when I started taking it, I started kind of realizing that my neck was moving a little bit better. I wasn't having so much I guess kind of anxiety from having the headaches as much, and then I started having fewer and fewer headaches to where they're fewer and far between now. Yeah, we've tried at least 5 to 6 different brands of CBD. We've tried anywhere from $150, $180 bottles down to $30, $40 bottles, and everything in between. So we've been trying quite a bit for quite some time. It really just kind of varies. Some of the really inexpensive, cheap ones just kind of have this dark brown, earthy taste to it. It's not really enjoyable, even if they advertise that it's peppermint or some crazy cinnamon flavor. It never really tastes like it. And then you try some that are touted as like the best in the world, $180 a bottle for 30 milliliters, or just like a 1 ounce little bottle, and it's super clear. There's hardly any taste to it. You literally just feel like you're just having oil, and that's it. There's no benefit out of it, even though they've got lab results and all these different kind of testing things, that it just doesn't really add up to that much money. It really just kind of depended on how it worked for my wife, really. I mean, I dealt with headaches for so long, from 3 to 25, that I just got used to it with time. So I'm not necessarily concerned directly with me, but it's more or less with her and how that affects her. So we tried one brand for a long time and it worked for a little bit. Then we tried a different brand, and I could tell that she was kind of struggling a little bit, just sleeping more and not really wanting to go out as much, and just you could kind of tell that her behavior had changed a little bit. So we kind of went back to the other one, and it helped again. Then a couple months later, we decided, hey, someone else is taking this one. Let's try this and see if it was a little bit cheaper, but that kind of the same kind of result. So we really kind of gauge the effectiveness on how she reacts. Obviously, every bottle pretty much says what the normal thing to take is. So some will take, some will say take half the dropper or the full dropper. And it really, from what we've discovered, it really just kind of is dependent on the person. I'm not a huge person, but I'm a little bit bigger than her. So I could probably take a little bit more, but it's kind of a trial and error kind of thing for us. We start with what the suggested amount is, and then we kind of see if we're feeling kind of weird. Do we have weird dreams? And that's what some of the other stuff we found with some of the other brands, that you take it for a couple of weeks and all of a sudden you're waking up in the middle of the night and you don't know what's going on, or you're having some really weird dreams. And so that was some other things that just kind of let us figure out how much we need to take and what brand we really wanted to try. For us, no, not at all. I mean, I've had 2 since I started taking the CBD, and I've never had any issues. We had a couple of brands that we had tried that we really liked, and it was kind of hard to shift around. But when you kind of hear some different stories about, one person getting a bottle and it's great, and then the next bottle they get, the consistency is just not there. And that was one kind of driving factor in kind of changing to another one, is that the consistency just wasn't there month after month. And I don't know what it takes to make it, but I would assume the process is just about the same every time. There may be slight differences, but nothing major. And that was kind of one thing that we noticed, that we'd get one bottle and it was really effective, then we'd get another bottle the next month, and a week later she'd start struggling or I'd start getting more headaches, and we just noticed that consistency would change. So we really just kind of wanted to look around and got online and started reading a bunch of stories about other people and what they've taken, and Patriot Supreme popped up and we started looking at it, and so we started looking around for different brands. We went online, read a bunch of Google reviews, went on Facebook, Instagram's just pictures, so that's one thing we looked at. Is it's kind of more of like a lifestyle thing, so wife is always on Instagram. I kind of go on there every now and then and look around, but we went online, found Patriot Supreme, saw some videos, really just kind of liked the message behind it and kind of what the purpose of it was, and it was really kind of in the same ballpark of what we were spending now. It really wasn't any more, it really wasn't any less, it was pretty similar to it, so we kind of said, hey, we'll give it a shot, see what kind of happens. So we bought it, and maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 days later it showed up on the front door. So that's one thing that is important for me, just because we ordered a lot of stuff on Amazon too, but it's really interesting to order something and then have it show up very quickly. If I've got to wait 2 or 3 days for some confirmation and another week or two before it shows up, it kind of says I'm not that important. So it's really important for it to show up on time. And so when we got it, the packaging was great. It was professional. There was a nice little card that I wasn't really expecting in it that kind of said, here's the kind of story behind it. Here's what you should take. Here's what our recommendations are. Has some other stuff on it. So I was pretty impressed with that. And then we started the next morning. It didn't really have much of a scent to it. There really wasn't much of a smell. So that's kind of nice to me. I don't really want something that smells like I'm about to eat dirt. So I took it. It tasted really well. It was very mellow and smooth. It wasn't anything just out of the ordinary. It didn't taste bad. I didn't have to let it stay in my mouth for 2 minutes to kind of let the taste dissipate or anything. And I've been taking it for a long time since, and I've really noticed that I'm able just to kind of operate a little easier. I don't have to worry about the headaches. When I get one, I don't have to immediately go take medication. I know that I can just kind of relax for a few minutes and let the CBD kind of do what it's supposed to do, and help with those kind of situations. For example, I had one yesterday. I had it in the morning. I took the CBD. I waited about 2 or 3 hours. Headache was gone. I didn't have to take the regular stuff that I was taking that gave me so many problems with stomach ulcers and acid reflux I've been taking for 16, 20 years almost. So that was really important, that you could see immediate benefits, immediate results, instead of waiting 2 or 3, 5, 6 months. Partly of that's because we've been taking it before, so it wasn't really like just a stop cold turkey, then restart and let it build back up in your system again. But it continued doing what it's doing, and it's also giving me a little bit better ability to sleep. Obviously, everybody thinks that CBD is marijuana, so obviously everybody's kind of freaked out, like, oh my gosh, I'm about to take pot or something like that. It's nothing like that. CBD is probably the best part of the plant. It gives you the most nutrients that we've been researching, and I've done a lot of it just to make sure that what I'm taking is good for me. I've been on countless amounts of medical pills and shots and therapies and everything, and you never know what you're going to get with those kind of things. They could have lead in it, plastic in it, carcinogens in it. You don't know. They announce those things all the time where pills are found with carcinogens, and they're supposed to be for blood pressure medication that millions of people take. CBD is very clean. Most of the companies do testing. I saw in there they all do third-party testing. That's a big part of it too. It's kind of a birth defect. It's not something that it's pretty common, but it's called a Chiari malformation or a suboccipital decompression. So essentially where you've got a hole in your head where the brainstem attaches to your spinal cord and brain tissue kind of sits on top. And so what happens over time is that hole, as you grow, it's kind of like a soft spot on a baby's head. Eventually it kind of closes over. That hole will expand as you grow because your body grows. Mine never did, and so all that brain tissue just kind of got compressed in that hole, and eventually the brain tissue just kind of stuck out. And it's basically a herniation of the brain tissue out of that cavity. And it just causes a lot of major pressure on the spinal cord, and spinal fluid doesn't flow, and it's it's kind of funny, but there's like half brain fluid in your head, and just nothing on top. So the circulation just backs up, and then all of a sudden it's like a pressure cooker. It just goes off, and it relieves the headache, but that takes days. And so they finally did the surgery, cut in, opened the hole, removed a bunch of muscles, cut some nerves on accident. I got a spinal infection twice after the surgery. First time was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and the second time was pretty close, 5-10 minutes to just checking out. They had to rush me to the hospital. So I've dealt with a lot of medical stuff before taking CBD, but now it's really just kind of allowed me to not really worry about it. I still get headaches every now and then. I think this is a natural part of life of just stress and work and everything, but that CBD oil has really kind of helped me just not have to worry about having them all the time. And if I do have them, it's super easy. I can deal with it, no problem. But before I was taking it, even after the surgery, I'd have major headaches after that. But as soon as I started taking it, it just kind of dissipated. Really just about anybody. My parents haven't really taken it. My mom is going to start taking it. She dealt with fibromyalgia her whole life. I think, it's hard for me to remember, but I was 6 years old, so nobody really can remember their 6-year-old age. But she almost died when she was 6, or when I was 6. She was really sick, and so she's dealt with a lot of stuff over her lifetime. She has taken CBD oil before, and just when I spoke earlier of like the dreams, she was one of those that kind of got some really kind of weird dreams with some of the ones she tried. And so if it's good for me and I feel comfortable recommending it to her, which I do, then that should speak pretty voluminous of the confidence in the product, because she's dealt with a lot, and I don't want her to have any kind of issues that she would have again. And so if I'm willing to recommend it to my own parents, my wife takes it. My wife works for a family that has a little girl that has a lot of disabilities and a lot of issues, and when she gets a little bit older, they'll probably put her on it too, because we've spoken so highly of it. And so if it's good for us, and it's good for all the medical stuff that I've had to deal with, my wife's had to deal with, my mother has had to deal with, I think I'd recommend it to anybody.